Hi, this is Henry Lopez, and I want to introduce you to one of my friends, one of my mentors, someone who's been on the show a couple of times. I've been on her show, Joan. Hey, Joan, how are you today?
Terrific. Good to be here.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking the time to be with me today. Joan and I will chat with each other. What we've been doing, like once a month calls with each other.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
just to bounce ideas off of each other, talk to each other. I think it goes to the point that we often talk about that even as myself as a coach and Joan as a coach and mentor, we seek mentors as well. We believe in that. We believe in the value of that, of seeking out other people, that if it's nothing more than sometimes we just have a conversation and we walk away from that conversation energized because we've helped each other think through some things. Sometimes that's all it's about. So Joan is one of my mentors. She's also an entrepreneur, a podcaster. She has her own show. We'll talk about that in a moment. She's an author, and she calls herself a holistic prosperity coach, although she's been evolving that in her practice over the years. She's been doing this for quite some time. I appreciate Joan's wisdom and her experience and thoughtful advice. She's great at being able to leverage all of the life that she's lived and the other people that she's worked with and the things that she has worked through herself. She's very genuine in sharing that. And she's very to the point about it, which I appreciate, right? You just get right to it and you tell me, no, you're thinking about it the wrong way. And I love that. Here's a quote that's one of my favorites from her. And this might have been on your website or from a podcast, but Joan says, quote, "The fact is, there's nothing wrong with you that needs fixing. You just have habitual thoughts, beliefs, and emotions that inform your decisions that are no longer serving you." It's a lot there, Joan. So just tell me a little bit about that for the folks who are not familiar with you and your approach to how you help people, especially as it relates to that. There's nothing wrong with fixing. And of course, your very powerful and insightful ideas on money and the relationship that we have with money, especially as small business owners.
Okay, so I think that the whole psychological point of view has been wrong, and a lot of business coaching has missed the point. We tend to treat people as if there's something wrong with them that needs fixing. Mm-hmm. People will often say to me, "What's wrong with me that I can't do such and such?" Well, there's nothing wrong with you. And once you understand that you have thoughts, beliefs, and emotions that start early in childhood, and that those thoughts, beliefs, and emotions affect your decisions, you can use proven brain science to change those habits, which is an easy sentence, but there's more to it.
Right.
You have to recognize the habits. You have to release some of the energy of the emotions, if that's what you choose to do. You have to replace. It's recognize, release, replace, and repeat. And I was talking to someone the other day, and when I said the replace part, I said, "What are you feeling? And what would you rather be feeling? And do you know how to feel that?" Yeah. People say, "I want to stop feeling such and such." You cannot stop feeling such and such. You have to replace the feeling because it's a matter of brain science.
Yeah.
What you're doing is building new neural pathways so that your automatic responses change. And it doesn't happen overnight. You have to do it multiple times. One brain scientist I talked to said you have to do it for 45 days in a row. And if you miss a day, then you start counting from the beginning.
Is that right?
So you have to be committed to building new neural pathways.
Right.
But I know how it works. I mean, I'm coming from a place of being a sick, dependent, broke person. And little by little, I have gotten myself to where I am now. But it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I came to really understand this thing about everything about you is a habit. There's nothing wrong with you. You've never done anything wrong. You just have habits that are getting in your way. So in the work I do, I help people understand that and what the habits are and how that relates to money. Is people say, "I need more money." And I say, no, you just need more people,
Mm-hmm.
because money always comes from people. And what are the feelings you're having about your money? When you look at your bank account, are you going, oh, I should be earning more? What's wrong with me that I can't, that sentence, what's wrong with me?
Right.
It's shame. And the money doesn't ask you to feel shame.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that you're bringing from your background when you were little, and they said shame on you, or women often feel less than men because that happened in my family.
Sure.
That the boys had more value than the girls. So once you understand what the 2-year-old child might have perceived, and it's like when you're 2 years old and you want to do what you want to do, and they're telling, and you're saying no, and they're saying no. Well, you're bound to develop some anger.
Sure.
Because you can't do what you want.
Right.
And so that anger works itself into anger towards authority figures. And once you recognize the core, whether a parent died or left or was an alcoholic, or, there's all these difficult childhood experiences that form our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. And once you can recognize them, you can say, what would I rather think, believe, or feel? It's rather scientific, so you don't have to be blaming yourself for what's going on or what you've done in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, tremendous insights. I love that we've talked about this topic so many times, and it's something I need to continuously hear. But and as we've chatted before, Joan, what's so powerful about it for small business owners is we usually don't get that type of advice or guidance. And business in particular, with small business owners, I suffer from it. We're always comparing ourselves to someone that's more successful or has more money or has more locations. And so we're so susceptible to those issues as small business owners in particular, I think.
Yes. And to me, learning how to not compare yourself to other people, not to take things personally, are very important skills.
Yeah.
And when you see someone who you perceive is more successful than you are, you're making assumptions about what's going on inside of them.
Right.
I know a lot of wealthy people who are really unhappy.
Right.
And they're always going for the next million. Oh, in order to be happy, I need just one more million. And they get the million, one more. No, my thing is, I decided a long time ago to not let my bank account determine how I feel. And there are times when the bank account would get really low, because as an entrepreneur, it goes up and down and up and down.
Exactly.
And I learned that how I feel has nothing to do with the money. And so I had to retrain my brain. I tell people that I don't measure my wealth by how much money I have, but how much peace of mind I have. And that's something that I have an enormous amount of. You can't buy it from me, but I can tell you how to get it.
Yeah.
And that's got a lot to do, because so many business owners are always in that high adrenal push. And that makes you sick.
Yeah.
And the fear of losing money, of not making enough, fear makes you stupid. That comes from brain science. And if you don't want to make stupid decisions, you have to learn how to be in that very, very space of equanimity, where no matter what's going on the outside, you can maintain that place of peace within yourself. I think most people want that. Yeah. They just don't know how to get there. And
sure. And for most people, certainly for me, it's an evolution, right? I aspire to be where you are on these things. And so it's a matter of constant work and working on it and being conscious of it as well, I think, is a key thing.
Right. And I've just had more years to work on it.
Yeah. Just a couple.
Yeah.
So I mentioned Joan as an author. Her couple of books, really good books, Build Your Money Muscle, 9 Simple Exercises for Improving Your Relationship with Money, and The Search for Connection, A Spiritual Journey to Physical, Emotional, and Financial Health. So Joan's been on my show twice, episode 54, and then again on episode 195. So you can go back into the How of Business and listen to those episodes. Great conversations that Joan and I have always had. And then I've had the privilege of being on Joan's show, the Prosperity Show, and episode 223 and episode 325. So she's had her podcast show for quite some time as well. And the way that we like to partner is I tend to be more about the operations, the how-to of a business, the financial planning, installing systems, all of those things that are necessary to how-to. I recommend people to Joan for all these things that we're talking about, the emotional, the mindset component of it, which is a great balance to what we do each other. We complement each other, I think, very well, Joan.
Yes, and the idea is to get the messages from childhood out of your mind so that you can find out who you are and you can move forward.
So my ideal client is someone who's either aspiring to become a small business owner, and I can help them with that transition, especially if they're coming from the corporate world as I did, and existing small businesses that are looking to grow their business, implement systems so that they can work more on their business instead of in their business. That's my ideal client. I help them with those transactional components, if you will. Who is your ideal client, Joan?
My ideal client is someone who's been on the personal growth path for some time. You can't just pop into this and fix yourself because there's nothing that needs fixing.
There you go.
And it's every time I try to define my ideal client, I get a little stuck. I'll pick an age group and then someone else comes in. So most of the people I work with are between 35 and 55, although I have some older and some younger. And they're people who want to succeed in business, but also want to succeed in life. And they don't want their business to run their life. They want to enjoy both.
Agreed. Perfect. All right. If you want to find out more about me, visit thehowofbusiness.com. If you want to find out more about Joan, where would you like them to go?
prosperityplace.com. Everything I do is there. And you might want to try a couple of episodes of my podcast because that'll give you an idea of what I talk about.
Exactly. All right. Thanks for joining us for this. I don't even know what we're going to call these, but this video summary of my relationship with Joan. I just wanted to introduce my followers to Joan and everything that she has to offer. So thanks for joining us.
And thank you for asking me to be here.
Absolutely.